Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you for your coming and your time. And today our agenda is simple, not too simple, but regarding the properties. Agenda is tax rules for buying real estate properties for personal use or investment. Second point is impact of owning immovable properties to non-resident investors. Corporate tax obligations for resident owning immovable properties. Free zone versus mainland properties, golden visa through property investment. This my colleague Anna will explain this one. UA property inside, this will be explained by Total Management team. So my agenda is first 4 point and the rest 2 point will be explained by later on by the other team member. Okay, the first point is personal use or investment. So if someone buy a property for the personal use, so corporate tax is on the companies, not on the individuals. So personal tax is not on the property. If I am buying the property for myself, so there is no corporate tax for me. If company want to buy the property, then corporate tax on the company as well. So this refer to a natural person, not the juridical persons. So this refer to natural person, not the juridical persons. Individual use property primary for his own living or want to rental out to someone else to earn a rental income. So if individual is buying the property, so there is no corporate tax for them. If company want to buy the property, then there is a other scenario for city point of view. For individual, there is no corporate tax. Natural person, there are two type of natural person. One is resident and one is non-resident. Resident person's income from property without requiring license is exempt. Some people get a trade license as a sole establishment and then they buy a property under the sole establishment. Then that property is not belong to the individual, then that property belong to the sole establishment. So then this property is taxable. If you earning more than 1 million, then sole establishment is going in the in corporate tax, so you have to be pay corporate tax of the property as well. So non-resident, if any non-resident individuals driving income from real estate properties are not subject to UAE corporate tax, but can be taxable in their own home country, like Mr. Frank in Germany. If you are buying the property in the UAE, there is no tax in UAE. But when that income, rental income, you go to in your home country, your tax residency country, then that country taxable on your taxable income. So individual, there is no a lot of in the market that people say if you have a property and I have individual, I have a lot of properties, my rental income is more than 1 million, so I don't need to pay any tax. I don't need to go for any registration unless these all properties is owning by me. If I have a sole establishment, that property is belong to sole establishment, then there is another scenario. If I am owning individually behalf, then there is no corporate tax, then no need to register, no need to pay any tax over here. So if non-resident investors, two type of non-resident, one is individuals, one is the juridical persons. So if juridical person has a non-resident property and juridical person has a property over here, so he is liable to the tax for his nexus point of view or for his permanent establishment point of view. Liable to subject to UACT when an ownership trigger nexus or permanent establishment. Nexus means any income you are earning from the UAE, that trigger the nexus. So this means city registration also required, city return filing will also be required for the non-resident person, juridical persons, not the individual persons. Nexus, any juridical non-resident person shall have a nexus in UAE if the earned income from any immovable property in the UAE that is not core generating income. For example, if KAYinvest, your main activity is earning rental property and earn the income. This is your core business income. If you do out of the country, this will trigger your PE, not the nexus. If DELTAKAP go to the any other country and invest in the property, and this will trigger our nexus, because our core income generating activity is not the property or rental. Your core income generating activity is in rental income. So this will trigger your PE. For example, if any out of the any Saudi country, his main activity is earn a rental or investing in a property, they will come in the Middle East and they will invest in the Middle East, so it will be triggered PE. So any other accounting consultancy company, he has some money, extra money, so he will come to the UAE and he invest in the property. So for them, it's create an axis. This is the difference of the axis. But on both sides, you have to be registered in city. You have to be file your return as well. If company will invest invest, if individual, then no. Permanent establishment is triggered if the income from immovable property owned is core income generating activity of the non-resident. That I already explained. If some company, he has a core income generating activity in his home country, he invests in the Middle East. For them, it create a PE for them. Resident taxable persons. Natural person, juridical persons. Two type of resident people are natural and juridicals. Natural person, this tax is not on the natural person. This tax is on the companies. That's why it's corporate tax. So income from immovable property is out of scope for natural person. Sorry. Any immovable property has owned by someone, there is no corporate tax over here in the UAE. If juridical persons, income from immovable property is taxable. Any company who has a property over here, he has to pay the tax over here. Individual person cannot pay the tax. Free zone versus mainland. So if a free zone company owns the property in the free zone, commercial property, so he don't want to pay the qualified free zone person has a commercial property in the free zone and he is letting the property to another free zone company, then this is a qualified income for them. This is a little bit tricky for the free zone persons, that income generating from immovable property will be subject to city for both free zone and mainland. Only if a company has a property in mainland or free zone, they have to be pay tax. Only one property cannot be a taxable, that is a qualified free zone person own a property in the free zone and he is letting to another free zone persons. That property should be a commercial, not residential. Residence. If it is residence, and company should have to be pay tax. If qualified free zone person has a property in the free zone and he is letting to another free zone, this is a requirement for qualified income. For qualified free zone person, income derived from immovable property in the free zone will be qualified income only. Generating from another free zone person, immovable property is a commercial property in the free zone, that I explained. It should be a commercial property and it should be a letting to another free zone persons, and that property is in the free zone and you are a qualified free zone person. So then this income is qualified income for you. Otherwise you have to pay tax 9%. And this golden visa rule, my colleague Anna will explain this one. Anna, please.
All right, so this is a very quick topic, but it's an interesting topic, of course, for many. And many people coming to the UAE actually buy properties for the sole purpose of getting the visa. So there is several types of visas, golden visas, to be received in the UAE. By salary of 30,000 plus, by keeping 2 million dirham in your bank account, frozen for any years, or by buying a property, which is, if someone has the funds, the best opportunity. So basically what this is, golden visa by property investment, it's just a very simple way. You just invest 2 million dirham. I will discuss the requirements in the next slide, but first the benefits. So you can get a visa for 10 years and it's renewable. For as long as you can prove that you have the property worth that amount of money, which we'll explain in more details later, you will get the golden visa for 10 years. Yeah? Then you are flexible. You don't need a sponsor. You are your own boss. No one will cancel your visa. You can do what you want. You can go in and out of the country, flexible. You don't have to stay the 183 days in the UAE. You will not lose the status. When you have employment visa, you have to be very careful when you're staying outside of the country for longer periods of time. Yeah? For golden visa, it doesn't apply because you don't have a sponsor. No one is controlling you, basically. Yeah? And you can also enter many times. It's not like, you know, one-time visa, two-time visa, whatever, like Germany gives one-time entry. It's 10 years renewable visa, very simple, and the best benefit is you are your own sponsor and you can sponsor your direct family. So you can sponsor your spouse, your children, irrespective of age, your parents. You can bring entire family. Of course, it's not for free. You will have to pay the cost of that visa for the family, but you are in the legal position to sponsor them. So they come here, they don't need to work. They are sponsored by you. So this is a very comfortable situation. And the requirement. So the 2 million is a minimum value of the property by the time of the purchase. So it cannot be you bought it 5 years ago, it was 1 million, but now because everything is, you know, getting up, the value got higher, and now it's evaluated at 2 or more million. You will not get that visa. It has to be on the paper, the purchase value of 2 million minimum. Yeah? And before last year, we still had this requirement that you would have to pay at least 1 million dirham down payment. They scraped it to make it easier for people. So you do not really have to now have the 50% paid upfront, because there's different type of properties. There is the completed properties, of course you will have to pay. Then there's off-plan. This is the biggest issue, because before they were requiring that 50% to show that the property is completed and actually it will materialize. Because maybe, you know, happens very often that halfway they decide that there's no money and then they will stop the property, the construction of the property. So for the moment, no down payment, no requirement for completion of 50% property as well. If you have a mortgage in the bank, it's also possible currently. But the bank will have to give a non-objection letter for that. And it has to state that you are going to pay the 2 million. Yeah? The value of minimum 2 million has to be stated. Yeah? So these are the 3 eligible properties at the moment, and possibly it will be, you know, getting easier for people, because the country wants the people to invest, obviously. Also, there is more news and innovations coming into this golden visa. Many people, many shareholders can actually purchase that one property or several properties. However, those who want to get the golden visa, their share has to be at least 2 million. So let's say you have 10 investors and property worth 6 million, whatever. So that person has to have that share of worth at least that minimum 33.3%. You know, minimum 2 million to qualify for the visa. It doesn't matter how many shareholders own the certain property or multiple properties, because it's also possible that you actually combine that you combine several properties to reach the target. Yeah. But then again, the value for your visa as a person has to be at least 2 million. Now it's becoming tricky in Abu Dhabi, because Abu Dhabi is not making it as easy as everyone else. So they have this minimum maintenance of your property of 2 years after you receive your golden visa. So let's say we are always saying, I buy tomorrow, I get my golden visa 1 week after I sell, but I have a golden visa for 10 years. It's not fair, right? So Abu Dhabi is trying to control it somehow. I mean, 2 years, it's not that long, but still it's 2 years. You cannot sell. Theoretically, I will answer your question just now. Theoretically, in all the Emirates, they say it's unwritten law that it should be like this, but no one actually is controlling it, because there's nobody that can actually link your visa at the moment, at least. It may change to your property. They don't know if you still have it, if you sold it. By the renewal time, after 10 years, you have to prove you have. So if you sold this one, you have to buy another one. You have to prove something worth 2 million. Yeah, so you have to be, in order to get that visa, of course, you have to be in the UAE. You have to be here, you have to do your medical, you have to do your everything. And the documentation required, valid passport, You need to have the property title deed in your name. Of course, not in the company name. It has to be in your name. They will probably ask for the valuation document. So if you purchased it some years ago, they will ask you about this document as well. Picture, Emirates ID, and so on and so forth.
Let me just give a small brief about KAYinvest as a group and Total Management as a specific company inside KAYinvest. KAYinvest have more than 40 projects which is already occupied and live and completed. Plus we have more than 40 land, still virgin land, and ready to be invested in the commercial, residential, and even for tourism use. As my previous 17 years in the UAE real estate market, in the property management, sales, and rent, I can say that Ras Al Khaimah is the new boom of real estate which will be happen in the UAE. Yes, it will be. And the good things now in Ras Al Khaimah is they learn a lot from Dubai event, from Dubai period of real estate, which is keep going. That is the no centralism. The no centralism is not just to focus in one area, because now the most of the investor, they will just go ahead for the freehold area. And before it was like only Al Hamra, it was the freehold area. Now they go ahead directly almost 180 degree to the right side to Al Ma'arid. Al Ma'arid is this new area freehold, and thanks for God, KAYinvest, we have a lot of projects there. We have lands, we have buildings, and we have more than one land there. And so it will be a very good opportunity for all the investor to go ahead and invest, to buy, or even to be a partner with us. Like now, to give a small example, like now Mozambique, they are our partner in Al Hamra area. We already own big percentage from that hotel, and because the brand of KAYinvest is one of the top 10 brands in Ras Al Khaimah. That's why our target is not just to sell or to rent, even to be a partner in the success of Ras Al Khaimah. Let's back now for the real estate in Ras Al Khaimah. Now there is fast moving to in the real estate, in the rent and in the sales, and there is even a movement of population from the other city to Ras Al Khaimah, because there is a new investment in Ras Al Khaimah, different type of business. In the same time, to try to relate it. That's why the project, it can be more open for many sections in the business. We talk about commercial, residential business, even residential business. Some people will just invest in the real estate, even in the trading and even the cars business. That's why now my point of view, that is the real estate in Ras Al Khaimah is moving well. We just have to be more patient in the increasing of the amounts, because we don't want to have that the same issue happened before in 2008 in Dubai. That's why we learn, and Dubai they learn too. That is, the movement should be stable, smooth, and at the same time to study the next step in advance. And if we just related now between the real estate and the tax options, before it was no tax even for having units, purchase unit in UAE. But now the tax, it support even to provide, to make more able to control it. And the same time to avoid any money laundering, because this tax will be able to reach the source of the money. And I believe even last year, the UAE, the central bank, they oblige all the real estate not to investigate, because the investor, they be worried, but just to have more details about the source of the income. If you will tell me to investigate, or not say investigate, to investigate about the source of the money, it will be, is not mean you will stop the transaction. You have to go ahead for the transaction, maybe you will have your money, but in the same time you have to claim. That is, we have some doubt about the income of this investor. Yes, it is. We have some doubt, because later on, in case the transaction will be finished and it will be any control from the central bank, which document you get from this landlord or from this investor, in case you don't have the enough, because even the central bank, they already provide the forms which need to be filled from the real estate company and the broker. Okay, but really is me in the UAE trying to make it stable market, Like now we have like other country, they don't care about the lender money, just to get the money. But the problem, the lender, the money laundering will affect later on even in the coming generation. If you cannot control the business in your country. Because if you just miss it for one generation, two generations, it will be very hard to control it. That's why from the beginning, whenever he starts the procedure of the unit, we have to be sure that we have clean money. And if somebody who have no clean money and he want to change his life to a clean money, we are able to support him. is able to support him as much everything is clear. That's why now with the coming of the casino in Ras Al Khaimah, it's very good opportunity, but that's why it will not only help only in the real estate, even other type of business. As example now, if the real estate will make 100 employees, help 100 employees to have some income, it will have other 200 person in other different business. That's why it should be always corporation, and everybody be aware his coming investment will be in which part. It will be residential, commercial, but in the same time they have to follow the flow of the government by moving to other area in Ras Al Khaimah, not only Al Hamra, because this go up only in one city. It barely affect the market and even the economy of the city. That's why even we advise always to go ahead and to follow the government. Like now when you open the new area in Al Ma'arid area, which is a new freehold. Even the latest project was from Mira Development. They have big project in Al Ma'arid. Okay, that's why that area now can grow up, and even we have big land there for tourism use, almost 55,000 square feet. We have already their buildings, we have already their land for different use. That's why we always advise the investor, okay, to be ready for any scenario, because let's give a small example. In Dubai, it can be like a call from His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. He obliged, or say not obliged, but he asked all the developer in one part. In 2018, he asked all the developer to go for the hotel apartment business. All the developer do it and did it only whenever he asked. That's why we have to wait for the big people, okay, to instruct us, while we have now extra space, extra area to grow up our business. And even recently, even he asked all the developer to go to Jabal Ali Palm Jabal Ali. Even since before it was there, but now whenever he asks, everybody moving there. That's why it's better to be always one step earlier than the other people. So minimum we have the cheapest price, and you have better opportunity than before the other real estate company will join to the area. Thank you so much again for this invitation. I appreciate it really, and I love it to have other opportunity to